Hey guys, really quick video for a healthcare in Japan playlist. Two things I try to avoid saying on this channel. One is only in Japan. So I think you'll find it in all the thousands of videos we've made. I've never said anything is only in Japan because I think that is probably not a wise thing to say. It's a big world. You never know where something might also be somewhere else. So I never say only in Japan. And I try to avoid saying that all Japanese people or in all cases. So what I usually try to say is things like usually or even maybe the most extreme might be mostly, but I try to never say that everybody's the same, and because obviously they're not, and I always try to say that there's always exceptions. So the reason I'm just prefacing it with this is that in the recent video about healthcare in Japan, I was talking about doctors' bedside manner in Japan, and I was saying that the quality of the healthcare here is really good, but usually the doctors aren't real chatty. That's sort of what I was saying. Usually they're sort of straight to the point, don't look at you terribly much, don't talk to you very much, boom, 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 out the door. And they're really good, they're really good. I wasn't complaining, I was saying that this is just the way it is here. But I also said usually, right? And the reason I'm making this video right now is I've just come from a hospital and I saw a doctor that I've seen twice already, and usually he's nice, he's sort of kind, but again, he's not real chatty. You know, straight to the point, business. You walk in, you sit down, he's looking at the computer, he's looking at the paper, he talks to you a little bit, and then, you know, you're on your way again. And he's pleasant, but yeah, not chatty. And it's the usual Japanese way, straight to the point and straight to business. So today was the third time I've talked to this doctor, and he was talking about something he'd just done to me recently and the results of that. And he said, just out of nowhere, he suddenly said to me, where are you from? You know, where'd you come from? And I said Australia, and then he switched to English, right? And I've spoken to him twice already, including once telling me about a procedure he was going to do. It's fairly complex stuff, as I've mentioned in previous videos. Healthcare subjects, you know, it really challenges your Japanese because all those medical words that I don't know, you know, most of the medical words when they're about to do something that I haven't done before, you know, the basics that you get that you've heard before. I mean, I've spent time in hospital in Japan, so things like, you know, tenteki is IV and things like that, you sort of know, and talking about medicine, kusuri and those things. But when they're talking about a specific procedure you haven't had before, you're not going to know the name of that procedure, right? So I've already been through a couple of conversations with him already that were quite challenging to understand, but got through it, you know, the two previous times I've talked to him. And then so today, as soon as I tell him I'm from Australia, he switches to English, and really good English, right? Oh, and I said to him, I said, I've been speaking to you in really bad Japanese. Your English is obviously much better than my Japanese, you know. And that's not unusual either in Japan. Quite often that will happen. It's sort of like, I think when people do that, because you do sometimes you will get people in Japan sometimes who can't speak English at all, but try to help you by saying one word in English. I've given you examples of this before, which is just not helpful when you're having a big conversation in Japanese and they use one word like water or no to try and help you when that's really the only English they know. Not helpful. But what you'll also have is sometimes people whose English is very good and they just don't use it because maybe, I mean, we're in Japan, that's the first reason. Why should they use English? Also, sometimes maybe they don't want to offend you by switching to English and offend your Japanese ability. Or maybe they're just a bit shy about using their language. So for whatever reason, this guy, the last two times I met him, never said anything in English. And then today he switches to English, and his English was really good. Too good. When you get someone here whose English is really good, it means that they've been somewhere else. And I said to him, where have you been? Where have you spent time? And he'd spent time in the USA and he'd spent time in Australia. And so then we started talking. He's talking about Australia and he's talking about some other things. We ended up having quite an extensive chat, which is, as we were having it, I was remembering that other video that I'd made previously. And as we're having this conversation, I'm thinking, I've got to make a video about this because it was exactly the opposite of that generalization I made recently about usually in Japan the bedside manner is fairly sort of professional and not very chatty, you know, but he was really chatty. And I was actually the other thing I was thinking in the back of my mind was I was feeling sorry for the people outside waiting, because he ended up talking to me quite a bit. I was probably in there for 15 minutes, which is pretty unusual here. Usually you're in and out pretty quick. It's like a production line. So we had a pretty good chat. So it was really interesting. It was really interesting, and quite not the first time that's happened either. I've had that happen before. I've got a local GP, general practitioner doctor near where we live, and he actually studied at a university in America, so his English is really good as well. So I have experienced that before. My dentist can't speak English, but I know a friend of ours who's a dentist, Japanese guy who's a dentist, and his English is pretty good. So you do get that here, but you can't expect it. It's more usual if you're going to a medical facility for something. Unless your Japanese is up to it, it's sort of useful if you can take someone along that can help you, because it is pretty intimidating. And then pages of stuff. Again, I mentioned in that video recently about the paper. We did it again today. Loads of paper, and there was no procedures today. It was just talking, but there's still loads of paper. I've got a bag full of paper there. Most of it I'm going to throw away, except the receipt. But the same thing happened again, and quite often big explanations on that paper as well. And quite often they'll read it to you, but again, you've got to be able to keep up with what they're talking about. So just before I go, at the end, I went up to the machine, put in the card for the hospital to pay the bill. The bill today was 230 yen, right, which is about $2. That was the bill today to see a specialist for 15 minutes. So Japanese healthcare, socialized healthcare. Don't let that word scare you. It does scare some people. Socialized healthcare, it's the best way to go. It really is. Those of you who've lived in countries where you have it, it's the way to go. It really is. At the risk of sounding slightly political, it's just a fact. It's just a fact. It's a really good system. So anyway, that's enough of that. Thought to just fill you guys in on that one. More videos. Oh, harvest time. Harvest time. The weather's just got cooler too. The last few days, the days have started to drop around 30. They were all 37, 36, and recently it's starting to drop to 30. We've got a couple of days this week where it's going to be under 30. So it's the autumn weather started, and the farmers are right into the harvesting at the moment, trying to get all the rice in. So that's all ready to go now. You can see when it gets too heavy, and after you've had rain, it starts to fall over because it gets too heavy. But that doesn't matter, because those harvesters that they use get in underneath it and lift it up, and then I showed you that recently, the harvester working. If you haven't seen that, check it out. It's interesting. But they'll just bring the harvesters in and pick it all up. They want it to be dry though. The problem, we had a little bit of rain recently, makes it all wet. They don't want to harvest it when it's wet, obviously, because then they got wet rice. That doesn't keep very well. So they want it to be dry. But this should be pretty good. This is pretty good weather today. So the harvesters, you can hear them off in the distance. Anyway, that's enough of that. More videos coming soon.